last year we decided to do a lot of nano beer.
Okay.
Because we think it's important to have low alcohol beer, and this is our response of no alcohol beer.
Yeah.
Because I don't think no alcohol beer is really good because it's not a beer.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to All Beer Inside. We're returning to our home province. Today we are in Saint-Tite, Quebec, and joining me is Phil of À la Fût, Microbrasserie À la Fût.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much for hosting us today. Really appreciate you taking time in your schedule to speak with us about À la Fût.
It's a pleasure. Welcome in Saint-Tite.
The 15 years you've been here and everything kind of the Saint-Tite area we'll talk about too. So.
Yeah.
Awesome. Brought me out a delicious looking line of beers here to try today. I'm only going to try a few since I say enjoy responsibly and don't drink and drive.
Yeah.
What do you suggest we start with?
Maybe we can start slowly with one of our flagships since the beginning of the brewery. We have the British. The British is not brown ale.
Okay.
So there's not a lot of brewery doing not brown ale, but I think it's a nice style to discover, and that one is we are a regular drinker of that beer.
Okay.
So and it's a good beer for older people too.
Okay.
Because
perfect.
they have a reference with porter. That's not the same, but it's a brown ale, but it's light. It's not too. It's low alcohol. It's only 4.7% of alcohol.
I always like an English ale.
Yeah, not brown ale.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. As we do on the show.
Cheers.
A toast. Yeah. Nice nutty nose. Oh, super light.
Yeah, often when people want a red ale, a rousse, we suggest them to try that one because it's different from a red ale. So I think it's better.
That's an excellent beer.
Yeah.
That's a great start. So, À la Fût, 15 years. How did it all start?
It started in Montreal. We were 3 students at the ETS.
Okay.
So we are electrical engineer, the 3 of us. And 2 of us continue at the master.
Okay.
And during my master, I met a guy in my lab at the school who is making beer. And that guy we're living just up from now, it's the Saint-Boc.
Okay.
On Saint Denis Street.
Yeah.
So at that time, his father had a bike shop on the ground level, and he lives at the 3rd level of that building.
Yeah.
So we started brewing beer right in the middle of Montreal, on the Quartier Latin.
Yeah.
And after we bought our equipment to do it ourselves, and we were living in Pointe Saint-Charles at that time. So we had my apartment become a little brewery, and we were renting that apartment only for making beer. So every room in that apartment had different temperature because we want ferment and also do the pouring, and so we had this place maybe for a year, and after we decided to do really the business. But at that time, the brewery was not only a brewery. We had a engineering project in that business because we were engineers. So we want to do a draft beer equipment for home. We have a little barrels. We have 5 liters and 10 liters. So at that time, we want to make a new system, an intelligent system with RFIDs on kegs, and to identify the beer that is in the keg. But unfortunately, the brewery starts, and all the engineering was on a tablet. Yeah, because when we arrived in Saint-Tite, we didn't expect to have a pub at the beginning.
Okay.
And we were looking for a place to make the brewery, and we find an old house from 1865. So it's now the other building, just aside the brewery, and so we had a lot of fun doing renovation in that house. So that's there is a good thing and a bad thing. That's a good thing because it's pretty nice to do a brewery in an old house. That was the first general store in Saint-Tite in 1885. So that's a pretty house, all in wood. But it's an adventure to do a lot of renovation. So we did since 14 years.
Plus 100-year-old building, I'm sure, like the town's like, well, this is a heritage building, so be careful what you do.
Yeah, but it's not really hard here in Saint-Tite because that was not patrimonial by the government. So, but we want to respect this house, of course, and so that's why we had a pub. So at the beginning, the brewery was just in the back of the pub. So it was pretty small. Now it's in the place where we do the dishes for the pub.
Yeah, it's always good to, like yourselves, it's the same story as what we've had in Ontario is guys started in their garage and now they're in these big facilities. It always starts somewhere small and get big. You mentioned Point St. Charles. We interviewed Keegan early on. Before the pandemic even happened. That's how long ago it felt. And he's like, I was in my cupboard and now I have this. So it's pretty crazy. What made you pick Saint-Tite out of everywhere in Quebec that you could have gone?
It's because one of us was from Saint-Tite first, but that's not the only reason. One of the biggest reasons is the Western Festival, because Western Festival is the festival where Molson sells more beer in Quebec. So people really enjoy beer during that time. And so Western Festival is an advantage because it's a huge festival. There is about 600,000 people every year, and we are in a countryside of 4,000 here. So that's one of the advantage, but also Saint-Tite is, I like to say that's the middle of Quebec because we are 2 hours from Montreal, an hour and a half from Quebec City, 45 minutes from Trois-Rivières, 2 hours from Sherbrooke. So that's not the center, but it's there is a lot of advantage to distribute beer.
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of our viewers who don't understand how large Quebec, the province of Quebec and the province of Ontario actually are. Like, Canadian provinces are gigantic compared to most U.S. states.
Yeah, but they are concentrated in the south.
That's it. We all live 3 hours from the U.S. border, pretty much, because most of it is uninhabitable. So, but still, it's nice that you guys. I'm guessing Saint-Tite was very welcome to bring in the business, start the brewery.
At the beginning, we were marginated by people around because 3 guys coming from Montreal with beard. Mine is not too short today, but it depends on the time of the year. So at the beginning, most of the people don't know about microbreweries because that was in 2007. And at that time, we were permit number 58 in Quebec.
Oh. Wow.
But 58 is not a lot, and there is a lot of breweries that doesn't exist anymore. So I pretend we were in the 4th wave of microbreweries. But that was the beginning of good breweries, much more good breweries from that time, because at the beginning of the 90s, the knowledge for brewing beer was not really good.
We didn't quite have the internet with everything that you could get now back then.
There's a couple of good breweries from the end of 90s and the beginning of the 2000, but now most of the brewery that begin doing beer make good beer because now the general knowledge in Quebec and all around the North America is really good now.
For somebody who likes supporting local, we're getting more and more spoiled every year because there's, 3 more breweries in just Montreal. There's 2 in Quebec City. There's you guys are in the Maurice region, right? So let's say another 2 or 3 in the Maurice, a bunch of the Lanaudières. It's just keep popping up, and 300 breweries in Quebec already.
I think we were the 3rd brewery in Maurice. We start only a year after Trou du Diable. So every year, a lot of people try our beers, and someone find it's really different, and so they discover our beer. But the food was the answer.
Okay, yeah.
We take the food to bring people in the pub and taste our beer. And during the first year, we won some great prize for some beers. So it gave us credibility in around.
Do you do food and beer pairing, or it's pretty much your waiters or beer servers have suggestions for, oh, if you're going to get this hamburger, try this beer. If you're going to get this salad or whatever else, try this. If you're going to get the mac and cheese, try this. Like, do you have a food and beer pairing program?
We did it, but that's not always official. But we don't have a lot of staff at the pub. Yeah. So we are a small pub. So we have a lot of employees, part-time employees during the summer. So it's difficult to bring them all the knowledge about beer. And it depends because we make some suggestion in the menu, but it depends on the season. It depends on a lot of things, and it depends on the taste because there is a lot of people who don't like beer, but when they come here, they do an effort, and there is some light beer for everyone. As an example, we do a really delicious beer with rhubarb and strawberry during the winter.
Nice.
This is the 2.5% alcohol beer.
Okay.
And that beer is it's a must for someone who don't like beer.
Yeah.
And it's also good in the morning and camping.
I mean, I wouldn't be camping out on today's recording personally, but
no.
It's wild out there. That's awesome, and I'm sure it's almost impossible to get a table when the festival's on, right?
Yeah, it's really difficult. We don't take reservation during the festival, but during the week it's not too bad. There's not a lot of people during the week. There is activities too, but most of the people are here during the weekend.
Must just be so unexpected, like 60,000 people all of a sudden in a town of 4,000. Once a year during the summer.
It's pretty crazy. There is I think there is place for 12,000 VR?
Yeah.
VR around here.
Oh yeah, RVs. Okay,
in the field and everywhere in the street.
And there's campgrounds all around. Like, just have a designated driver. You're 2 hours from Montreal, an hour and a half from Quebec City, like you said, 2 hours from Sherbrooke. Everybody kind of comes from the outskirts of Quebec, or not outskirts, but the main, more populous areas of Quebec to come into here to listen to some country music and drink some beers.
And see a rodeo too.
Yeah.
There is a rodeo during that period too.
So I'm guessing when you came in here, a lot of old school Molson, Budweiser drinkers. What were those beers that you got those people to drink your beer instead of the macros?
At the beginning, it was hard because our only blonde beer was Czech Pils.
Okay.
But that was a really, really bitter Czech Pils. So in the second year, we did the Blonde de Saint-Tite. So this is our light pale ale, not a lot of hops in that beer. So that's the beer we sell the most during the festival, during the Western Festival. But every year it changed a lot. So year after year we have more IPA drinkers during the Western Festival. So at the beginning that was more than 50% of the beer we sell that was blonde. But now it changed because a lot of people are interested in microbrews, and so taster evaluate every year.
Why is it called À la Fût and not, Microbrasserie de Saint-Tite?
It's because our project of bringing the draft beer at home. So it has two cents.
Yeah.
So the first sense was just to bring draft beer at home. So unfortunately, we don't do that, but that stays a good name.
It sounds like you guys are trying to develop like a kegerator, but almost like a smart kegerator.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and we were using thermoelectric cooling. So that was a research project too. So that's why it was so complicated.
It's just easier to start a business than to do that.
Yeah, and it's more useful for a brewery to have a pub.
Yeah.
Because the pub is our place locally. Because if we were in the industrial park, nobody see that we do beer in the village. So the pub is really important, and I think today having food with beer, it's a must.
Yeah.
And we are in Saint-Tite, so we have to bring the beer outside the region too.
You want to try another beer here?
Of course.
You'd mentioned the lager.
Yeah. You can try the lager of the moment. So this is La Hoya.
Okay.
So that one is made with noble hops.
Okay.
And it was lagered for 3 months.
Nice. Always enjoy a good lager.
Yeah.
But you mentioned like coming in here with the Czech pills. Like to the regular Molson or Labatt drinker, it's like, whoa, this is crazy. But amazing. So what's the alcohol on this?
Oh, it's pretty light. It's 4.3%.
Oh, so like a lawnmower beer.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. That's what you
Cheers.
toast. Oh yeah, light, refreshing, malty. All the stuff I like in a lager.
And the taste of hop is really good. Mm-hmm. It's not too strong, not too bitter, but...
Yeah, no, there's none of that hoppy bitterness that you'll get for like some crazy IPAs. Myself, I love IPAs. I love a good tripel when the occasion calls for it. I love a good stout.
Yeah.
I'm almost always drinking a lager or an IPA though. So.
Yeah, I think most of the drinkers who are drinking microbrews for a long time now really search for lagers.
Yeah.
So this year we also did, last year we did a Kolsch too. And we also did another lager with La Chopingus.
Okay.
But that's not that one.
I'm like, that's a Goza.
La Chopingus.
Okay.
Here, that's another Pils.
Yeah.
So that we bring that beer to the Congress of the AMBQ.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so this is a collab with another co-op.
Your labeling is very unique. Who creates the labels and the names for the beers?
Yeah, but we changed all the labels, I think, 2 years ago. And we decided to work with illustrators in Quebec.
Okay.
So we now have 3 illustrators. Mm-hmm. So we have one guy who is specialized in Western beaties.
Yeah, you can see that, that's for sure.
So that was a good thing for us. So we decided it's natural for us to use the Western environment, the Western style, because we are in Saint-Tite and everyone knows Saint-Tite for the Western Festival.
Yeah.
And now they know Saint-Tite for us, I think.
As
maybe.
Well, yeah.
We are here for 15 years now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty interesting to have a Western style because everyone likes cowboys. Mm-hmm. Cowboys are sympathetic. They are from the imaginary of movies, and so that's probably one of the reasons a lot of people like to come in the Western Festival. So it's natural for us to have a Western style.
Yeah. Even just driving up the road, it's like there's a guy on like a statue with a guy riding a horse. I'm like, oh yeah, we're definitely where there's a rodeo. So, and you mentioning the fallback of the old school Westerns, and like in my mind, I was thinking Tombstone the movie with Val Kilmer and Kurt Russell. And it's just like, that kind of invokes those memories of like a good Western movie.
Yeah.
So that's very cool.
But the Western period is a short period in the 19th century, but because of the movies, Western stays in time.
That's when like photo technology was starting to begin and all that stuff too around that time. So that's why we could see that history.
Yeah, and the Western is almost like the past.
Yeah.
It's only how people were living in the 19th century.
Very bloody past, but still past. Very violent and bloody past if you watch the movies, but we don't know.
Yeah.
So.
A lot of movies are violent. But now in the Western Festival, this is only the funny part of cowboys.
The fun part.
Yeah, because everyone wear a cowboy hat, so they are another person for a couple of days.
Yeah. 15 years, I'm guessing you've done some brewery collabs or local collabs with, let's say, like you have a raspberry in one of your beers. Do you collab with farms? Do you collab with other breweries? What are some collabs you've done?
All our barley since, not the beginning, but since 2009, I think, is from Quebec.
Okay.
So we were one of the first brewery using all our barley from Quebec. And so we do, and now we use a lot of hop from Quebec too. Mm-hmm. And for the pod, it's from the beginning we were working with a local producer. So at the beginning, before the kitchen, because we did the kitchen after 4 years of operation.
Okay.
And before, every summer, we invite some producers from the region to do the charcoal.
Very nice.
So that's how we begin having a pub with food. And so that's the part for the food. But we also did a lot of collaboration with breweries. So last fall, we did one with La Chopengus. We also did an Imperial Ghost with Les Saint-Taverne in Montreal.
Okay, yeah. That's funny too, because Saint-Taverne being in Point St. Charles and you guys were brewing out of there, it's almost simpatico when you do that.
Yeah. And yesterday, the guys did a collaboration with Silo in Montreal.
Okay, yeah.
So that's going to be the next lager.
It'll be at both locations. It'll be at Silo and here.
Probably we sell kegs for there.
Yeah.
And we also did that beer. That's a double collaboration last fall with a little boulangerie.
Okay. Yep.
In Saint-Tite, the other countryside after Saint-Tite, and with La Confiserie.
Okay.
They are in Windsor.
Okay. Yeah.
Go near Sherbrooke.
Oh, let's give it a try.
Yeah.
So, boulangerie is basically a pastry shop in English.
Yeah.
So
that one's strong.
that's fine.
But really, really sweet.
Wow. The nose is beautiful. Woo. It's 10%.
Yeah. That was our first pastry stout.
Amazing. Let's do a toast.
Cheers.
Oh yeah, that is tasty. It's like a raspberry or...
A little taste of vanilla.
That's it.
Yeah.
Is lactose in this as well or no lactose?
Yeah, there is lactose in that beer.
That could be a danger. This is something where you enjoy 1 pint by the campfire.
Slowly.
And then, slowly, and then stop if you have to do anything. So
it's pretty sweet. Huh?
Yeah, it's nice, it's sweet, it's heavy on alcohol, but you don't really taste the alcohol, and that's the important part to me. Is it's not like I'm drinking and I'm like, ugh.
No, we don't perceive it.
Yeah.
I
mean, 15 years, I'm sure you guys are dialed in on most of your recipes now, where you're blonde, you just make it like that, and it's done. It's ready.
But since 5 years, we now have a new brewery. So when we start this brewery, there was a lot of things to adjust, because only to do the cans before we were doing it with a tap and just seam it manually and label it too. So it's only since 5 years we have a new equipment for canning, and also the equipment for brewing. So at the beginning we were brewing 5 BBL in the other building. So we had 3 fermenters of 1,000 liters and one of 2,000. So it's principally the brewing that was different. So we have to adjust our recipes, and but it's also interesting to change some things during the time. For example, the session IPA. We had a lot of different versions because we changed the yeast, the hops. So now it's more stable. But no, during the time that's why we do some seasonal beer too. For us first, and for people too, because it evaluates a lot. So we have to be in front of our of the tendencies. So last year we decided to do a lot of nano beer. Because we think it's important to have low alcohol beer, and this is our response of no alcohol beer. Because I don't think no alcohol beer is really good, because it's not a beer, and it's difficult to keep it fresh and to sell it in stores. Because there's no alcohol, and alcohol is protect the beer. So if you don't want to drink alcohol, maybe you have to drink something else.
Yeah. I know one of the big popular non-alcohol brands called Sober Carpenter. Okay. My last name's Carpenter. I'm like, well, that's a lie, because no carpenter I know in my family is sober.
So we have a Nano IPA at 2% of alcohol. I told you earlier, we also do strawberry and rhubarb beer at 2.5% of alcohol. Yeah. Last year we did a red ale at 2% of alcohol too, but that one was not so popular because when you sell a beer, that kind of beer in a grocery store, there's nobody to explain it to the customers. So, but this year I think we are going to do wheat beer at 2% of alcohol. So
that's where it's nice having the Quebec beer stores that we have, like Malte Hops and Pierre Fall cold beer is now something different, but Bodega and Bière à Boire and stuff is that the guys who own those stores are passionate about the beer, and then they're passionate about selling the Quebec products to people like me, who I do have a little bit of knowledge, but I'm still some days I'm like, ooh, what's new? And there's new. Oh, let's try this. and then the 2.5s, that's just summer beers to me. It's sitting down, watching sports and drinking beers, or at a music festival. Like that's...
Yeah, in the region, as here, there's no taxi, there's no metro, so if you do 5 at 7, you can take a couple of pints of a beer at 2% of alcohol.
Yeah, so exactly. So that's
nice.
That's what's great.
And your brain doesn't know because your brain associates it to a beer. And for example, the Nano IPA, there's a lot of hop in that beer too, so it's tasty as a beer, but with low alcohol. You want to taste the Nano?
Yeah, let's do that.
Because before testing oak aged beer, because we are specialized in oak aged beer too.
Yeah, I mean, I can see all the barrels. I see the folder back there. So
we have another site in Saint-Tite.
Yeah.
With this is our warehouse, and all the barrels are there.
Okay.
We have some here today, but. At the warehouse, we have more than 500 barrels.
When this place next to the restaurant opened, were you like, we're taking it. We're making this ours now.
We were patient. We wait 10 years before doing that new brewery. So it's gonna be the 5th anniversary of the brewery in March.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been seeing you in the stores for at least 5-7 years now, so it makes sense that this opened. All right, Montreal, Quebec City, like, let's get our beer out. Yeah. I'm guessing you use Bucket or one of those guys to transport your beers, or do you guys do it?
We do most of the distribution ourselves,
That's cool.
We do some with Bucket, but not a lot.
Yeah, probably further out places that are a bit of a pain in the butt. Yeah. Awesome. Toast. Oh, yeah. Beautiful nose. Yeah, I can drink
it's light,
these.
But
it's light, but it's tasty. That's the important part. So, where do you see À la Fût next?
We don't expect to be bigger because our production is now just sufficient for the market, because we are in a small market in Quebec and there is a lot of brewery everywhere. Yeah. And the beautiful of a brewery is to be local. So you have to be strong locally. So locally here we sell beer everywhere in Mauricie, and after we have a little market outside La Mauricie. But I think for a brewery it's really important to be strong locally. So I don't know, we continue to make our oak aged beer because we were in the first brewery that does do that. Since 2010 we do some oak aged beer. So because of the new production here, we had less time in the last year for that kind of beer, but we want to bring it in the front for the next years. Yeah. And now this year we really enjoy to do lager. Yeah. So we always want to have a lager on the side. Yeah, for sure. Lagering. Yeah. So that's the evolution, and we have a couple of flagship beer that I don't know how to say it, but our regular beer that we do all year long. Yeah. And I think it's interesting to keep some some traditional style, because there's a lot of new breweries today that only do IPA or strong beer, but most of the people really enjoy to go back for a nut brown ale or a light alcohol IPA.
Quebec was known for Belgians way back in the day. And now it's like, oh no, there's IPAs everywhere. It's like, no. Sometimes it's not bad to go back to that old school style of the lager or the Pilsner or a Belgian.
We do most of our Belgian style beer are oak aged. Yeah, because it's a style that aged really well. So, but now since the end of the last year, we revisit some of our regular beer, but with Brett.
Okay.
I didn't bring one here, but we have the blonde. So the light blonde at 4% of alcohol, but we did a version with Brett.
Okay.
So, but it's really interesting to have low Brett beer, not too much.
Yeah, because usually they're 7+% from what I've seen.
Yeah, but that one is 4.2% of alcohol, so
that's cool.
But it's interesting because it's a blonde beer, so all the Brett taste is in front. So that's now awesome. We have an Hefeweizen that is aging. We have two versions. We have a version aging in stainless and another one in oak barrels.
Oh, awesome.
At the Shea, So it's interesting to revisit the beer. So probably we are going to do the Mikinoise, our wheat beer, with Brett, and so revisiting the beer, it's really interesting. I'm gonna make you a little taste of that one is the Blanche Durand des Points, the third one.
All right.
So that one is Camarades and raspberry beer, but in the pub we have a version, an oak aged version.
Oh. So I'll try it in the pub after then.
Yeah, because now I'm going to taste one of our bottles.
Yeah.
Which one we want to taste?
I say your anniversary beer.
Anniversary?
Yeah.
It's not.
I mean, 15 years is it's a big number when you think about it.
Yeah.
So especially now, during the summer of the pandemic, it's like, oh yeah, this brewery celebrating its 4th year. I'm like, yay, they survived the pandemic. So, speaking of that, with the pandemic, how big was it that your locals stepped up and bought? Did you take out and stuff like that for food and?
Yeah, we did a little, but here it's not really popular.
Okay.
Because there's not a lot of density of population, and I think during pandemic, a lot of people had time to cook at home.
Yeah. But just for buying beer, were you able to sell online or?
Yeah, that was good for people who came here and buy a case.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was good for us. So that one is a blend from the Matawan. Matawan is our regular blonde red beer. So this is a Matawan oak aged for 18 months, blend with a prune.
Okay, yeah.
Is it prune?
Yeah, prune.
Plum.
Okay, yeah.
Plums.
Yeah, so prune is... So prune, there's a prune in English, which is a dried,
it's different,
becomes a date. And then there's a prune in French is a plum.
No, it's plums. So it's a plum beer, oak aged for 9 months with a triple.
Okay.
With a Belgian triple.
A toast. Oh, that nose is beautiful. Oh, that is fantastic.
Since 3 years, we are beginning working with plums because there is a lot in Quebec. And I think it's an unknown fruit. Everyone knows that plum exists, but in the beer, I think plum is really interesting.
It's at the beginning of the pandemic, the only plum beer I had was at a Beauregard in Montreal. Yeah. They had like a Beauregard dark beer because that's all they do. So yeah, it is rare that you see them in Quebec.
In the fall, we did another one with that's almost the same base as the Matawan, our blonde red beer, and oak aged with the plums. So,
if the option was there, because Quebec has a lot of hyper-focused craft beer stores, not so much in Ontario, but let's say there is one, and you could get your cans out to introduce the Ontario crowd. Could you see yourselves doing that?
We tried to do it in the past, but The difficulty now it's because when you bring beer in another province or in the States,
I know
the price on the store is too high. And now there is a lot of breweries in there, in Ontario or in the northeast of the States. So we did the Vermont Brewers Fest 2 times, and we sell a couple of pallets, but it's too marginal, and you need a lot of effort for only 1 or 2 pallets a year. And the other problem is the price. So for the customers, the beer come
you gotta
too pricey.
The justification makes sense.
And it's the same in Ontario because there's now a lot of breweries there too.
Yeah.
So it takes a long time before having a lot in Ontario, but now there is a lot. So they are independent. So I don't think it's a good way for a brewery to do making export now. I don't think it's
Just the laws across Canada for when it comes to selling beer in other provinces is so ridiculous. That's something like whoever's the next prime minister, and they're like, I'm going to fix the beer laws across Canada. You're getting my vote. So, unfortunately, I'm a very small percentage of that vote, so they probably won't get in. Now you're clearly very busy. Restaurant, pub, brewery, getting everywhere. But a couple of weeks open up, and you could take a beer-focused vacation that you've never taken. Where are you going?
The next plan for Brewcation is to go in England. Because in June I'm going there.
Oh, so you've already got it planned.
I think that's one of the only parts in Europe that I didn't visit for beer. And we're going to a music festival there, so...
Yeah, I guess just drinking out of a hand-drawn in a pub that's like 400 years old.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's going to be crazy, like just feeling the history of that place. That sounds awesome.
So that's going to be, for me, that's going to be the next trip. Yeah. But in 2019, we've been to Czech Republic.
Okay.
So that was in the mindset of doing more lagers. Yeah.
So you sell all over Quebec. You have quite a variety. Are you noticing specific trends in certain regions of Quebec of how your beers sell in certain places?
I don't know. I think lager is more popular in Montreal and often in pubs. Because on the market, on grocery store, people maybe don't know about lager a lot. But I don't see a lot of difference because we have 8 regular beer we do all year long. And strangely, we sell approximately the same volume for all that beer. So it's not because of the production, because we adjust the production all the time for the needs of the market, but I don't think there is a lot of difference for the customers. And we don't sell beer. We distribute most of our beer between Quebec City and Montreal, so it's almost the same market.
You just hop on the 40 and send your beer both ways.
Yeah.
And now, you have a few 2.5s. Are you starting to see the market kind of going that way, where people are consuming more lower ABV beers? And do you feel maybe that's an association with the new Canadian drinking guidelines?
Yeah, but we don't know how to promote it.
Okay.
But I think it's gonna be a good compromise for people, but now it's probably just not known that you can just take a beer at 2% of alcohol, because if you take the Canadian chart with a 2% of alcohol beer, you can drink 2 to 3 times more beer.
Yeah, exactly. Because
that's the good news.
I think the new guidelines is like 2 beers a week, and I'm like, I have 2 beers a night some nights.
No, I think it's 7 at 7 beer in a week. It's a heavy danger.
Yeah, I've been in heavy danger for 20 years now. Especially, I discovered craft beer probably around 15 years ago because of the Mondial. So it's just, I enjoy craft beer. I enjoy supporting local businesses. I enjoy craft beer. I'm really starting to enjoy distilled alcohol. Quebec, there's so much gin. I could throw a rock and find gin in Quebec. It's we're very spoiled. More cideries are opening up. So having all this new competition, what makes you feel you'll stay ahead of these guys? Or are you more welcoming of the friendly competition?
Yeah, but that's the same just for beer, we sometimes call it co-petition because the brewery, we are all friends and there is a good fraternity. So it's the same for the other product. But I think a beer drinker is a beer drinker. So you enjoy the other beverage just because you're curious and you like to taste, but you just come back to beer every time. So,
all right, one final question. Festival Western de Saint-Tite. How do I find the perfect cowboy hat?
Oh, big question. As you saw, it needs a lot of festival to become a good hat.
Okay.
That hat has a lot of experience. But there is hat for every price during the festival. So you can have one for $10 or for $100.
High end, okay. That makes sense. Especially you buy it 1 year and you just keep bringing the same hat back. It's the same with my German beer drinking hat that I got at Bose 1 year. It just keeps getting put back on my head every Oktoberfest. So
that's it.
That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you very much, Phil, for today. I really appreciate that. For those who are looking for À la Fût beers, where can they find you guys?
We have a lot of beer in grocery stores. So principally our regular beers. But for our seasonal beer, the specialty retailers are a nice place. So there is a lot in Montreal, there is a lot of Quebec City too, and in the region too. You can come in Saint-Tite. In Saint-Tite, we have a pub, so we have 20 beers on tap, and we also have a place to stay in front of the brewery. So we have a little place available on Airbnb, so with 4 rooms. So that's just in front of the brewery. So if you want to come in Saint-Tite and visit around, because there is the Parc de la Mauricie, you can visit around, and there is a couple of great business around in Saint-Tite, the other countryside. So, and you can buy beer on site too.
And your address?
670 Notre Dame in Saint-Tite.
Okay. And for those who are trying to find you online in social media, what are those?
You can look for À la Fût on Instagram or Facebook. Our website is up to date too.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Amazing. Awesome. Thank you very much once again. Really appreciate this. For those who are looking for us, allbeerinside.com is the website, @allbeerinside on all social media. And as I say at the end of all episodes, drink craft, not crap.